Hello and welcome to the Mum Boss Method podcast. I'm Chrissy and I am the Mum Boss, and I'm coming in with a short, sharp episode for you today because I had a real realization. I had this kind of download come to me when I was checking in with my coach this week, and I thought I would share it a bit with you because it's kind of started the ball rolling with a lot of changes and realizations and evolution that I'm going through, I'm going to be going through, and I'm going to be taking my clients through. So, as has been the last couple of episodes, I haven't got any notes for this. I've literally got 10 minutes to record it before my next call. So, I'm really speaking from the heart. Someone asked me, how I've managed to drop kind of 5 kilograms of body fat, which is, I don't know what that is in pounds. You'd think that by now I would know what that is. That's 11 pounds. It actually might be a little bit more than that. It might have been 6 kilograms, which is nearly a stone. So a stone of body fat in the last 5 months. And they were asking me, like, what they wanted to know, I think, was the question behind the question was, what calories have you been doing, Chrissy? What's your workouts been like? What is it specifically? What food have you been eating that has done this? It is so hot in my office, by the way, that I feel like every time I talk, my mouth just gets drier and drier. And that was what I think was the question behind the question. And yes, I have been in a calorie deficit. And yes, oh, boiling. I'm stripping off. If you're watching on YouTube, sorry. Yes, I've been in a calorie deficit. Yes, I have been training really hard. I've been adding extra cardio. I have been doing more steps. I have slightly tweaked my food choices to what I maybe would have done 6 months ago. But really, that's not the work. That's not the work. None of what I was doing is really a new habit for me. Going out for a walk every day, I've got a cocker spaniel, I need to do that. Getting workouts in, 4 times a week, I was doing that anyway. Um, Tracking my food. I like tracking my food. Prioritizing protein. I do that. Um, Eating plenty of fruit and veg. I do that. Prioritizing my sleep. I do that. Yes, the calories were slightly different. Yes, the workouts were slightly different, but only because there were certain parts of my body I wanted to change. I wanted to grow my shoulders. I didn't need to grow my glutes anymore. I wanted to develop my quad muscles. So there were specific things we were doing, or I was doing in the gym to make that happen, that Laura programmed for me. But the real work comes from the internal shifts that I made. And those internal shifts, that identity that I stepped into, was not something that I've done in the last 5 months. That was already something I was becoming and had become. And I really tried to articulate this to my clients a bit this week and to myself in a post. And I don't think I quite got the wording right yet. But the way I see it, there were 3 shifts that I had to make. And those 3 shifts, if I had not have made those 3 shifts in the work that I have been doing for the last 6, 7, 8 years, then I absolutely wouldn't have been able to get to where I have got to, and having a shoot in, what are we on? Wednesday, 2 days, 3 days. Do we count 3 days? No, 2 days, 2.5 days. And that work came down to my relationship with food, my relationship with my body, and my mindset and my identity. And they're all intertangled with each other. And, when it comes to my relationship with food, this is something that I work on with my clients because I would say 98% of my clients have some kind of struggle with emotional eating. And so, if I hadn't worked on my relationship with food and how I utilize food to deal with my negative emotions, and how I saw food as either a reward or a punishment, a reward for having a good day, a reward for training really hard this week, a punishment if I didn't train really hard, a punishment if I didn't, you know, if I did overeat. If I hadn't have worked on all of that, I could not have got where I got to. I couldn't have done it because trying to diet for the last 5 months, and particularly in the last 5 weeks where it's been quite aggressive on such low calories, and still having that emotional need to use food as a crutch and a way of dealing with negative emotions and strong emotions would have been impossible. Impossible. I would not have got the results that I've got if I hadn't have worked on that. And then the second thing is working on my relationship with my body, you know, being grateful for what my body can do. One of the biggest things that I talk about is how for the longest time I hated my legs. And that started changing, 3, 4 years ago. But I've really learned in the past 5 months that I can change the shape of my body. I can grow my shoulders to even out the fact that I'm a traditional pear shape. I cannot train my glutes, only have to look at a weight and they grow. But I can grow my shoulders to balance that out. I can stop training my glutes so that my upper body catches up, and it works. But I can only do that if I love and I am grateful for my body and for the work that I've done on with my body for the last 6, 7, 8 years. And then my mindset and my identity are intertwined. And the way that I explain this is that I don't identify as someone who makes excuses. I used to. I used to identify as someone who makes excuses. I used to identify as someone who would skip the gym just because her best friend wasn't going. I identify now as someone who sets a goal, gets up, does what she needs to do, even when she doesn't want to do it. I don't identify as someone who eats secretly anymore. I don't identify as someone um, who goes and drinks 5 bottles of wine across a weekend. And that's what I used to identify as. I don't identify as that anymore. I've changed the person that I identify as now is completely different to the person I identified as, even yesterday, but certainly 3, 4, 5, 6 years ago. And yeah, you can work with a coach like me or work with a coach like Laura who is going to really push you hard if you've got an aesthetic goal like I've had for the last 5 months. You can really push and you can work. But you know what? If you've not done all of that internal work as well, nothing changes. Nothing changes. And the invitation I gave to my clients this week and what I'm going to give to you as well is I want you to think about what are the parts of you that you're not changing. You might be changing the food, you might be changing the workouts, but what are the internal parts of you that you are not working on and you are not changing? And what is standing in the way of you doing that? Why are you not doing it? What are you worried about? What are you scared of? And if you want some help to get past those internal and mental blockers, then I would love to help you because that's what I do. So you'll find the details for how you can get in touch with me in the show notes. But I just really wanted to share that I've managed to keep this to like the 10 minutes I agreed with myself that it was going to be. But it was just a real reflection. Yes, the calories and the workouts and the walks and the sleep and the food choices matter, but the internal work is what will keep you where you want to be. Have an awesome week, everyone. Bye.